you very much. Our colleagues prepared a short presentation, if you don't mind. We start with that. In the meantime, let me just emphasize that this is really my great honor to be here. Thank you very much for the organizers to have me here. And I think after 2022, where the energy crisis broke out, it showed a clear signal that we need these kind of associations and institutions to keep the energy itself and the energy law in focus in order we have better answers if anything troubling times ever happen again. Many things already been mentioned, so I'm having a positive outlook for my presentation too, because we agree in many of the questions already. Let me just emphasize a couple of the trends, what we see from my position and how we see the Hungarian room to maneuver and to contribution to the green transition and the digital transition. And I'm especially honored to be here, not just from the State Secretary side, but as a PhD student as well. It's really always an honor to speak at the University Forum, so thanks once again. Just started. So as it has been mentioned already, and you will see in the slides too, how I see what is happening today is that two megatrends are shaping our future. These megatrends are the green transition on the one hand and the digital transition on the other hand. These megatrends are, I truly believe that has an importance such as the industrial revolutions were a couple of hundreds and years ago. We are at the middle of these transitions, so we do not actually know where will these take us, but we can see clear signs that these megatrends are already having a fundamental impact on our societies, the way the globalized world functions on global economies as well. Basically, the green transition became the new gold rush of our times. Everybody is, in the modern societies, everybody is pushing green transition to some place where we don't actually know where. And I will give you an example of a Hungarian example, what I mean by that. I also have to mention that climate change and green transition is also a heavily politicized domain. Unfortunately, there are still many who do believe that there is no climate change as such, and these voices are still vocal, and we hear it everywhere. And unfortunately, there is the other side, the alarmist side, who you can never make good enough for those. And I think it's really important to mention that it's difficult to stay focused because of the noise around these matters that actually impacts all of us to the core. In that context, Hungarian goal, and I believe that the European Union and every member state's goal should be to remain competitive in this changing world. Unfortunately, we see a couple bad tendencies. Draghi report, Letter report was already mentioned. And Draghi said and clearly warned what we actually knew for like 20 years at least. But it's a nice compilation of all the sickness of the European Union. And as you mentioned, 1 year already gone, basically, without achieving significant solutions or steps making. So we must stay focused on those goals. We must ensure that the green transition is an organized transition. It's a controlled transition. It's not left or right ideology-based transition, because that takes us somewhere where we do not want to be. And we must stay focused on our goals that are to ensure the sustainable development of our country and all the European Union, and eventually the planet for all as well. And by sustainable development, I mean that not only environmental sustainability, what we need to talk about, but we need to also talk about the social economic factors of sustainability. If those are not involved in the transition, who bear the burden of the transition, that will cause anger and structural difficulties or defaults in our systems. As I already mentioned, I believe in not necessary transitions that are having some sort of color or ideology attached to it. It can be green transition, I don't mind, but it needs to be controlled. We need to create all the physical, the infrastructure, the monetary, and the social pillars of this transition. And ideology can come, but I believe that not first. We also need to ensure that we implement circular economy models in our countries. Circular economy is nothing new, but unfortunately in the last couple of decades, the structure how global economy works is basically a long supply chains. You extract, you transfer, you modify, you manufacture, you transport once again, and you throw it away. These linear lines must be circled up, and we need to use the material that is already on our land, and we need to reuse those. This is one of the most strategic questions for the European Union as well. If we are able to manage to create circular economy models in certain sectors, it's probably not possible to do in every sector, but certain key sectors, then we don't need to watch the news in the morning, what happened in Hormuz or Malacca or whatever, because it's already there. We have the capacity to work with those, and we have the capacity to manufacture new goods. Our goal should be to keep those materials in the circle as long as it's physically possible. And of course, we also need effective climate policy frameworks as well. It's a hot topic also in the European Union. In the 18th of September, there will be a big debate about the new European targets in front of the European forums. We see that the Danish presidency, together with the European Commission, wants to set up a new target for 2040, that it's 90% of the GHG emissions reduction based on 1990. This is a very ambitious goal. It's, I believe, the morally right goal. We do have, although, concerns that is from the technology side and the monetary side, it's feasible. So there will be a big debate in the upcoming weeks, and we'll see whether the European Union takes another step towards its carbon neutral goals. I would mention just a couple of thoughts about the Minister of Energy where I'm working at, because at the same time when we seen these two mega trends approaching, and maybe it will be a new combined mega trend in the next couple of years, we took a step at the Ministry of Energy, and we reorganized the structure of the institution. We created the new Secretariat for Circular Economy and Climate Policy that was never existed before. And we also combined the info communications, the AI, the technology development, and e-government within the Ministry of Energy. We still call the Ministry of Energy, but our task is way broader now of that. So what I see that in Hungary, at least, the Ministry of Energy right now is the crossing point of these two mega trends, both intellectually, both physically, both from the government side. So our focus shifted towards green technologies and digitalization in the last 2 years. What we believe these are the two basics of modern and green societies. I would also highlight some of the achievements where Hungary stands in this green controlled transition. We raised our bars in the last couple of years to a serious extent. We revised the whole National Energy and Climate Plan. As it was mentioned, before COVID, we couldn't even calculate with AI and the demand that is caused by AI. So we had to remodel basically every numbers we had within 2 years. And looking back, we have to admit that we were never basically right to the extent how green energy will expand in the future. We always estimated it. We thought that by 2030, Hungary will have 6 gigawatts of solar panels. By this day, today, 2025, we have over 8,200 megawatts. And probably by 2030, we will reach 12 gigawatts of solar panels, making Hungary the #1 globally per capita in terms of solar capacities, which is a huge number. Parallel to that, we also we raised the share of renewables within our energy mix up to 30% by 2030, which is also a significant step compared to the previous number that was 21%. Concerning GHG emission, we already achieved from 1990 a 48% of reduction, while we tripled the size of our GDP. So we actually raised our commitment from 40% by 2030 to 50% by 2030, and I'm pretty confident that we will be above 50% within 4 years, which is I believe it's a great contribution to our common goals. Still, it must be emphasized that Hungary contributes to the global emission to 0.1% globally. And we will be below 0.1% in 2 years, and not because of these great numbers, but because China and India will put more GHG emission out. Which I think it's really an important number to stay realistic. We also reduced our energy intensity in Hungary to a serious amount, like third within the last 30 years, which is a great number, although energy intensive manufacturing capacities were growing up and popping up in Hungary at the same time. And we also gradually enhancing our energy efficiency. If we talk about energy efficiency, I cannot provide you great numbers yet. We have a lot to do still. It is under my portfolio, and I have really very high ambitions in here. There is a common saying that the best energy is what you do not consume. I believe the best energy is what you consume in the right way, especially if you consider how renewable energy is created or generated. We have to be more efficient, and we have to focus more on energy efficiency as well. And I'm really proud that after 2 months of my coming into this position, we wrote a new legislation, and by the legislation, we are renovating 150,000 households in Hungary by that legislation alone, which is 3% of the total households in Hungary that worth to be renovated, which is, I think, from one piece of legislation is a fairly good number. I already mentioned the difficulties or the delicateness of the forthcoming revision of the European Union target. Will be smarter in 2 weeks, where we gonna go. What we see is there are great ambitions, and what we see that member states, the governments of member states are now taking a different position. France is backing off. Germany might gonna back off, so we'll see where it takes us. The Hungarian position is clear in that sense. We need to find a number that is reasonable, that is achievable, what technology allows us to achieve. And also there is another delicate thing in Hungary concerning climate policy that the Constitutional Court of Hungary annulled the climate law, the national climate law, partly annulled a couple of months ago, and created an obligation on the government, or actually the National Assembly, to create a new climate law of Hungary by the next year, the summer of the next year. So we do have a responsibility, and we do have a task to do, not just nationally and not just at the European level, but basically in every frontiers. And we also do have ambitious goals concerning the national climate law. Unfortunately, we have too little time and a too wrong period of time, but we will for sure do our best. And just a couple of words about AI and energy. It has been a lot has been said, and I can make just a couple of additional information and fully agree with all of you already mentioned before. Well, we see that AI changed everything in these fields. We see a lot of good side of AI, and we see a lot of sides of AI where we do not know yet whether if it's good or bad. I'm really positive if we're talking about just medicine and healthcare, the impact of AI. But we also see that the energy consumption is gradually growing in a time when we are trying to reduce our energy needs, and we're trying to create the energy what we consume from clean energy or green energy. That's a paradox that we haven't found the solution yet. Well, our colleagues just measured or calculated somewhere or read it that AI already is responsible for more than 1% of the global energy consumption, and or the electricity consumption, and it's set to be tripled by 2030. That is in similar numbers what it's already been said, and probably within an additional 10 years it could be the largest energy consumer among all the household consumptions, all the industrial consumptions, and the traffic and the trade consumptions. So we all have to modify our goals, and what we believed in 2 years ago that will be the track. Now we see that everybody is trying to find where is the new track at. So, of course, as I mentioned, there is a lot of good consequences of AI coming in the energy sector as well, by reducing many of the costs, by optimizing the use of energy. It's really advantageous use it in the weather forecast, for example, as well. But we also see that we are not necessarily sure how we're going to satisfy that need in the near future. There are tendencies in China, they do it with coal or fossil fuels. In America, there is a tendency that put nuclear reactor next to these data centers. And at the European Union, I'm not quite sure if we have the clear vision how we should or how we could manage it. And this is where the regulation and the importance of clear norms come in, and that's our responsibility, that's our common responsibility to put down those acts and norms that not just create some sort of model, but it makes things happen as well in reality too. So growing demand and green production must meet in somehow, and I'm looking for these discussions because these are the forums where those great ideas could come. So thank you very much once again for having me here, and I wish you a very nice and great and prosperous future for the organization and the great conference for you today. Thank you very much.